And we are here. Hello! Oh, whoops, I have to do the, there we go. There, nope. Stop. Hold on. There we go. Busy fighting a man made out of wasps? That is fair. Chances are we're probably not gonna get started on the game anytime soon because something has come up short notice that I actually do want to talk about. And I don't know how much time that's gonna take up. But first of all, I hope everybody's doing well today. Hope everyone's having a lovely, what day is it? Saturday. My voice still not fully back, I feel like. Or still on the edge. But we're fine. I will, however, on my end at least, turn this down a little bit, and probably on you guys' end as well. Just a little bit. There we go. Because it is pretty loud, and I still don't like that you cannot just adjust the volume in this game. It has to be either on or off. Hate that. Let me... There we go. There we go. Hold on, gotta pause this. Okay. Another sip of water. And here we are. So, we are probably gonna be playing its journey today. Continuing the game for a little bit. Maybe, I think, I hope. I don't know how long I can go. Because like literally like minutes before the stream started, I saw something that has not only dampened my mood quite a bit, but also made me a little frustrated. Because it's not the first time we're gonna be talking about this, and it's not gonna be the last time probably. But it's a piece of news that I stumbled upon. And had a little read about that annoys me quite a lot because of the way that people are reacting to it in particular. And we're gonna get into that first. I don't know how long that's gonna take. But hopefully we can get at least some gaming done and after I vent out my frustrations with these people. Was that a door? Sure. That was my grandma leaving. Don't worry about that. There we go. But, yeah. So, first things first, and I don't know, maybe I should actually just turn, hold on, pause. Maybe I'll just turn the music off for this entirely. And I'll do this to make it easier. And in the meantime, we're just gonna have some BGM running. What do we got? What do we got? You know what, fuck it, let's have some Ace Attorney OSTs in the background while we do this. Spotify, there we go. Why are you not working? There we go, now you're working. Okay, ignore this. So for those of you who don't know, there has been the initial the way I found out about this is through a tweet that's been making the rounds of an account called Fuji News, which I guess is just some kind of news account. I don't know. That's just how I first heard about it. And I looked it up myself. I looked up like articles and stuff. this article about a VTuber who was recently arrested in the UK for, I'm gonna read this tweet first, then I'm gonna explain a bit more, because I think the phrasing here is a little vague, possibly purposely vague for whatever reason, but I do think it is important to acknowledge regardless. Saying British police arrested VTuber and illustrator Mimi Yanagi. I personally have not heard of this person, I believe. For possession of her own drawings. Mimi revealed that she was held in custody after being arrested on April 20th. Authorities confiscated all her devices and she is now free on bail with extreme conditions. She cannot post adult content and must use a name approved by the police. British laws are extremely harsh regarding possession of certain types of illustrations that authorities classify as restricted material, even if they are completely fictional. There was a follow-up post to this, basically like regarding that they didn't just confiscate those specific drawings, but also like general like anime-related like merch and other stuff that she had, and you know that they are like supervising now basically her online presence as a whole. And I looked it up, and you know, this is true. The thing that this article leaves out is that the reason she seems to have been arrested is for specifically drawing content of fictional underage characters in possibly in like precarious, not safe for work positions and situations. I haven't actually looked at any of it, obviously, because that is not my thing. But basically, you know, arrested for drawing and consuming or whatever loli show content, so loli and shotacon content. And as usual, as soon as people found out that that was the thing, well, reactions were okay. Reactions were pretty split. And you know what? Before I continue, I'm actually gonna change the stream title, at least for now. At least for now. What do I call this? What do I call this? I don't want to call it drama, because like this goes beyond just drama. Big bad news plus this. There we go. And let me change the title here. Nope. God, I hate this YouTube layout. I hate the YouTube Studio like live layout. There we go. And I'm also gonna on YouTube just in case gonna change the thumbnail to a simple just chatting thumbnail. Because again, I don't know how far we're gonna get into this today. Where is it? Where is my just chatting thumbnail? There we go. There we go. So back to this, as I've said. Arrested for drawing Loisha content. And this is something that I've talked about every now and then on this channel. And in regards to you know, fandom, conversations about fandom, censorship in general. And I feel like it is important to once again reiterate the way that people reacted to this news goes two ways. On the one hand, you have the people that are like, good, you know, what she was doing was illegal, and if you defend any of this, then you're a pedophile, or you support pedophiles, predators, whatever. You know, the whole, if you draw this content, you like this content in fiction, then you deserve whatever's coming for you. And then the other side that was correctly so pointing out that this is not fucking okay. this, a VTuber, VTuber doesn't like, you know, VTuber, a person being arrested, and then supervised for drawing fictional content, assuming that she was not intending to depict any, like, real children, that it was strictly kept cutie and fictional, being arrested for that and then, like, having her online presence surveyed is not fucking okay. And I don't know how many times, or I don't know how far this has to escalate for people to realize that this isn't where it stops. No one's forcing you to like this kind of stuff as well, right? I don't. I have never been into any like lolicon or lolly showed up content, whatever. That's not my thing at all. It makes me uncomfortable. You know, like, most of the time it does make me very uncomfortable. I don't like it. But despite that, people don't seem to realize that this is just censorship at its finest, and if you celebrate this, and if you support this process, you cannot be surprised if at some point this entire thing will hit you as well. The fact that that there are still so many people that do not recognize that fictional content, as long as it stays purely fictional, does not inherently reflect your real-life morals or attraction, is baffling, and it is highly concerning. I'm gonna try to be. I'm probably gonna be live for the concert tomorrow. Yeah. If not, I'll let you guys know. As far as I know, the minor in question is her own model, which is even weirder because it's literally her own model. Like, there's clear, like, if the only person I guess she would be sexualizing in that case would be herself, if that is the case. But even if that was not the case, as long as she's like not, you know, like using the likeness of any real child, it should not fucking matter. This cognitive dissonance of if it's fictional children, it's bad. What? Shut up. It's bad. But things like violence in video games, other taboo content, but only specific content. If it's taboo content that I don't like, it's bad. Like you know, sexual fantasies of any kind. The way that people like try to pick out which fictional content is considered bad and which is good is insane. And a lot of people, when you try to bring the argument of like, oh, this is just, you know, the video games cause violence debate, which has already been shown to be fucking bullshit, basically. Like, there are studies that are like, yes, you know, violence in video games can encourage or can support already violent tendencies, but it's highly like, it depends on the person, it depends on the you know, on the severity of the content itself. It depends on the frequency. There's many other factors other than just violence in video games, and there's like no solid foundation for that claim, I guess, that I've been able to consistently prove this. And people are like, oh, well, it's not the same. Because there's a difference between, say, playing a violent video game, and the idea that if you kill people in the game and you enjoy that, then you must also enjoy killing people in real life or whatever. And if you enjoy fucking getting off to fictional 2D children, you must also enjoy that same thing in real life. The fact people see no correlation there is wild. The only thing I can think of is, number one, desensitization. Violence in media is a lot more common than underage not safe for work content is. So people don't realize that they've already been desensitized to this fictional violence because they see it everywhere, and to them it's not as big a deal. Like, a fictional murderer is not as bad as a fictional pedophile to them. Or, you know, liking fictional murder is not as bad as liking fucking fictional rape or fictional underage situations and whatnot. A video game makes a person do horrible things, probably because that person already had a problem. Yeah. And a lot of the time, the studies and stuff they bring up are also like very either taken out of context or, you know, not true. So there's that, like people trying to put up the, you know, the Slender Man, the case with those two girls and the Slender Man thing. I forgot what that exactly is about, but I know that the conclusion was these girls didn't become like violent or whatever because they loved Slender Man. They already had mental disorders that lay at the bottom of all of this. And the only other reason I assume people want to draw this distinction is because they assume that that fictional violence is that there's a difference between enjoying taboo content and being sexually attracted to it. That is the sexual attraction that is the bad thing. And I fear that these people may also have lost the plot a little bit because, sure, you can argue that there's a difference between saying it's fun to kill NPCs in a video game, it's fun to run people over in GTA or whatever, or kill people without consequence in a video game, that's fun. And this underage looking 2D character I like you know, like arouses me or whatever. But if sexual attraction is the issue, right? If it all comes down to sexual attraction, then what about people whose sexual attraction to fictional characters does not match their fictional attraction in real life? Sexual attraction in real life, sorry. What about asexual people who are attracted to any fictional character? What about sex avoidant and sex repulsed people who are aroused by fictional smut, fictional not safe for work content? What is the difference between those people and someone who says, I fucking get off to lolly show content, 2D lolly show content, but I would not ever consider taking that out or even feeling that way about a real child? It's also frustrating because people think that predators, like sexual predators, and child sexual abuse is just about the appearance. They think it's just about the person in question looking like, or not even looking like, being a child. But if that's the case, there are adults who look like children. There are adults who look really young. Would a pedophile or a predator be attracted to those people? The whole thing about pedophilia, not even just pedophilia, just like, I'm not even gonna go because being a pedophile and a predator, number one, are separate things. Pedophilia, that, like a pedophilic disorder, it is a disorder. And being a pedophile does not inherently mean that you're gonna act on those desires. There are pedophiles that are aware and that are getting help for this attraction because they cannot change it. It is not their fault. It becomes their fault if they act on it. So we're talking about predators. Predators, a lot of the time, don't just care about the fact that this is a child. What matters for them is not the appearance. For some of them, sure, but it is the control. It is the power dynamic. It is the feeling. It is just the feeling of having control over somebody and being and the abuse itself. The majority of sexual predators, of predators that sexually abuse children, are not strangers. They are people that you know. They are people among your family, your friends, your acquaintances of some sort. And those people a lot of the time aren't even actual pedophiles. They're fucked up in another way. But they're not specifically attracted. They're not solely or primarily attracted to underage individuals. So the idea that it's all about the appearance and it's all about, you know, if it looks like a kid, that's all that matters, and if you like that, then you're a pedophile and you deserve to be locked up, is not... It's just not true. And I'm not saying that it's never true. Of course, there's always cases. There's always cases like that. But the way people are, like, rejoicing at this, assuming that they're not gonna end up being targeted as well eventually, because censorship in one area will eventually spread. You can never control censorship, especially, you know, like censorship in the arts, you cannot control it. Eventually the leopards will eat your face. And by that point, you have no right to complain. You have no right to go, oh, but I thought they were only going after the bad ones, because you knew, you were warned, and you chose not to listen. So UK is gonna ban Danganronpa because they think I'll make a killing game happen. It'll get to that point soon of them saying this is has to be censored if left unchecked. Yeah. It's so frustrating. And the thing is that of course this goes on both sides, right? But even when you have, like, actual victims of CSA, come out and be like, hey, by the way, this is not the same thing. You can find it gross, you can find it repulsive, you can refuse to interact with these people. That is totally valid. That is completely valid. And no one should judge you for that. But going that this is basically the same thing, or this is in any way comparable, is... it's so annoying. The fuck is happening? News. Read here. TLDR, female VTuber got arrested for drawing fictional underage children in, I assume, not safe for work situations. And some people are seeing the warning signs and are sounding the alarms. Other people are happy that this happened. And we're just talking a little bit about it because this annoys me and frustrates me and makes me so upset. Because people are just so they're short-sighted, and also it's another case of people not being able to distinguish fiction and reality and not being able to recognize what the actual problem is in these topics. And I just this was brought to my attention just a short while ago, and I felt the need to talk about it. Let me get some water. Let me get some water. And you know what? Actually, hold on. See, I was gonna do Ace Attorney today. I don't think we're gonna do Ace Attorney today. Because there actually is a video that I've been wanting to react to for a while, and I think today, while I'm already at it, we may as well. Do I have it in my watch later? No. Let me look it up. Anyone who was expecting Ace Attorney today, I apologize. This was a hard turn. But it's been a while since we've had a little discussion about this kind of stuff, I feel like. Let me see. I have not watched the whole video myself. Not even started, so I'm not fully sure what, like, their position is gonna be on this. But there's a video by E. E is social. Stop. E is social. Great content creator. Videos I've seen of them and vibes and whatnot. I think they're a great person, unless their take in this 1/10 is gonna change that. But let me switch the audio track, because I feel like this is also gonna go into it. Why is Castrolapse? What are you doing? What is Castrolapse doing? Hold on. Okay, there we go. The British and American goon ban was already complicated? Yeah. The artist fucked up? Yes. Enough to jail someone? Fuck no. Exactly. Like, you can be grossed out by it. I am. Like, The idea that like you have to like it to defend it is also bullshit. There's a lot of like fictional taboo content or quote taboo content that I do not vibe with at all. But I'm not here to deny its right to exist. Video by E. The war tearing online fandom apart. The fiction versus reality debate, which all of this really boils down to.
The final line in the final act of The King in Yellow will not survive it. It is said that any
That's a
who
start.
gaze upon the cursed words within will spiral into madness, fever, and annihilation.
Not
and
how
for
I
its
thought this would start.
horrendous crime of existence, the play has been banned from every corner of society, its name only ever whispered out of fear and reverence. Well, luckily, I'm talking about a fictional play in a fictional book, and not about something that actually exists. Thank goodness. The book, The King in Yellow by Robert W. Chambers, details the madness that the fictional play, also called The King in Yellow, inflicts upon its readers. I know it's confusing. Don't look at me like that. I didn't write it, okay? You can read the book just fine, actually. I mean, I'm okay, obviously. Maybe.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna change the title because we're not doing Ace Attorney today. I can tell you that. There we go. I'm just gonna change it like this. Bam. Also gonna change the category. Just chatting. There we go. Okay.
But it's the play that you
Now I'm
must
locking in.
worry about. The characters who read the play in the book do not have a good ending, usually, with some being tormented with visions of the yellow sign, attempted murder and attempted coups, and also just good old-fashioned dying. Needless to say, reading The King in Yellow is most certainly a death sentence, and maybe worse. But luckily, it's not real, so we don't gotta worry about that. But
Hell
what
yeah.
if it was real? What if the play was fully printed in real life? Would it infect our consciousness, corrupt our souls, bring doom to humanity?
Unless
for
it's
simply
literally
just
magic,
reading
no.
it? Fiction is a very powerful thing after all. It has the ability to change the very fabric of our reality. So why wouldn't something like The King in Yellow be possible? Well, that's the thing about the relationship between fiction and reality. It's as elusive as the play's very existence. It is very often argued online, and by very often I mean it's making its rounds
Hold on,
right
hold
now.
on, hold on,
Again,
hold on. Let's read these. Let's read these.
often argued online, and by
All this age verification bullshit is cleared for fascist surveillance reasons. It's clearly evil and must be stopped. But I'm absolutely not going to defend patriarchal, violent abuse porn and protest.
very often I mean
Dumbass purity culture type making it about their problematic fictional content. Censorship is good, actually. AO3 should be banned. Bugaboos not realizing the average geriatric in Congress pushing the shit cares about the details. True.
it's making
All the recent fiction affects reality discourse forgets one crucial aspect of the issue, socialization. Your susceptibility to be influenced by fiction lies on a lot of factors, not just consuming fiction itself, and socialization is one of them. That is true.
its rounds right now again.
I don't know who has to hear this, so I will say it again. Censorship isn't inherently bad, in many cases justified. Ooh.
That in the real world, you are what you eat. If you read or consume problematic media, then, because fiction is so powerful, you are problematic yourself. If you consume clean and morally correct fiction, then you are clean.
This is also a thing that people forget. Okay, so let's assume that consuming bad fiction or liking bad fiction makes me a bad person. Why does consuming good fiction not make you a good person? Why does only watching wholesome, safe for work fictional content with morally, good and beautiful messages, why does that not make you a fucking saint? Why are there still assholes and bigots who watch this shit?
and a good person. It's the same thought process of if you read The King in Yellow, you will go mad and it will taint your soul. It's an understandable conclusion to come to. Fictional stories have changed lives, altered societal aesthetics, excused evil behavior, and even helped initiate revolution. There is a reason why dictators ban books and art to further strengthen their power. But at the same time, no one piece of fiction can turn you mad, evil, or even turn you into a good person. The King in Yellow does not exist. But how can something be true and false at the same time? How can fiction affect and also not really affect reality? How can both be true? Well, that is why we are here today. We are going to explore this complicated relationship by diving into several pieces of popular culture and see what kind of conclusion we can come to. And finally, put this argument to rest. Does fiction affect reality?
So my take right off the bat, yes, it does, but not to the extent that people believe. Fiction affects your feelings. Fiction makes you feel things, yes, and fiction can inspire you. But it is not the sole cause. It is not the sole cause. Yes, fiction can make me think about philosophical concepts. Fiction can, make me sad. It can make me happy. It can make me feel conflicted, yes. But reading, and I'm, extreme case, reading Mein Kampf is not gonna fucking make me sympathize with Hitler or whatever, because I know that National Socialism is bad. I already know that, and that's not gonna change.
Well, let's find out. Spoiler alert, this is an exploratory essay, so I don't have the answer right now when I wrote this at this point in the script.
Fair.
So we're literally figuring this out together in real time.
Fair.
But first, let me introduce myself. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is E, as in...
E.
And make sure to like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Join the rat sewer, please. I'm literally begging you. Thank you.
I love that
if you find yourself really enjoying the video, then you can support the channel even more by becoming a member on the Ko-fi. Ko-fi.com/E is social, where for just $5 a month, you'll be able to see videos like these super duper early and get a shout out at the end of every single video. Thank you so much to our existing Ko-fi members. I love you dearly. And let's get started. Do you know what's worse than reading fiction that causes you to turn into a malicious, murderous maniac? Having every single piece of information about
I hear a sponsor
and then sold for an insane
I'm gonna skip through this
ever again and be cut off from the world, or which situation? Secret third option, overwhelmed and then
I'm gonna skim through this.
For Aura will not for free. You have to take my word for it. You could. I know social. This video, and now back to it. The video.
Act 1. Fiction bleeds into reality. Okay.
It is well known how the book spread like an infectious disease from city to city, from continent to continent. Barred out here, confiscated there, denounced by press and pulpit, censored even by the most advanced of literary anarchists. No definite principles had been violated in those wicked pages, no doctrine promulgated, no convictions outraged. It could not be judged by any known standard. Yet, although it was acknowledged that the supreme note of art had been struck in The King in Yellow, all felt that human nature could not bear the strain, nor thrive on words in which the essence of purest poison lurked. If you are a regular rat in the sewer, then hi. Besos, I love you. And you might already be familiar with my other work. I am very passionate about censorship, or rather passionate
the opposite,
about stopping it, obviously. I'm not joining the war on censorship on the side of censorship. I have made several videos, which you can find here, sharing my thoughts on the troubling rise of conservatism and fascist tendencies within fandom spaces online. I have always argued that taboo or dark fiction existing is not a bad thing. People who play the Coffin of Andy and Lele, for example, are not necessarily incestuous in real life. Fanfic writers who write about SA are not always condoning it IRL, and so on and so forth. I have argued that equating what someone consumes fictionally to who they are as a real person is a very dangerous, slippery slope to censorship
yes.
and fascism. I argued that fiction does not always affect reality, but it would be wildly ignorant for me to say that it doesn't at all.
Yeah, and that's, I feel like, the issue, is that people look at this through, like, such a black and white lens. Yes, it can. It can. And it does to an extent. But it does not affect, fiction does not affect reality on a one-to-one scale. And saying that it doesn't at all is also not correct.
I've never fully dove
the answer,
into
as
that
usual, lies somewhere in between.
Because, girl, look at the length of the video. It is a topic that deserves its own entire video, and it would have been a detour from the main focus of those other videos. So, to explore the depths to which this contradicting rabbit hole goes, let's explore the times when fiction acted like the King in Yellow. The 1961 film Victim had a huge impact on helping to legalize homosexuality in the UK, with an Earl even stating that it was because of the film that homosexuality was finally legalized in 1967 with the Sexual Offences Act. People had been fighting for decades for queerness to not be a social and sometimes even literal death sentence. A film turned the tides. That's insane. In 2003, CBS speculated that the Fast and Furious franchise led to the rise of deaths from street racing and or speeding. They cited the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration that claimed at least 135 people died in accidents from possible races in the year the first movie came out, which was almost twice as many as the year before. The New York Times in 2018 reviewed all tickets given to speedsters in Montgomery, Maryland on the weekends following a Fast and Furious movie's release. They found that drivers ticketed on average were going 20% faster than on weekends prior to the movie's release. Who knew? A film glorifying speeding could cause people to speed. Why are we surprised? The film, A Girl in the River, convinced Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif to change the law on honor killings, wherein a family member, usually a woman, would be killed to spare the honor of her family if there was an immoral act committed. That is wild. Huge change. American Medical Association found a 19% increase in Google searches.
Oh, remember 13 Reasons Why?
In the 19 days that followed the release of the Netflix show 13 Reasons Why, with some increased
I never watched it, but I know I've heard all about it.
While others in aiding suicidal ideation. Additionally, the 1915 film Birth of a Nation glorified and glamorized the causing, quote, membership of a nearly extinct group to increase to 4 million by the 1920s, as reported by Raindance. And it's not just with like some really serious topics. When it comes to fashion, fiction has a lot of sway. The film Breakfast at Tiffany's popularized the little black dress, or LBD, as a timeless piece of fashion, with Clueless also influencing what a 90s cool girl looks and dresses like. J.R.R. Tolkien wrote of a palantir within The Lord of the Rings, which was a crystal stone used to communicate and see events in other parts of the world, kind of like a surveillance and eavesdropping device. Freaks and assholes planning on killing us all, Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, named their devil of a company Palantir after the fictional device because, well, it's surveillance and eavesdropping. And the US government, among others, are actively trying to use this shit to create their own surveillance
Of course they are.
Big Brother bullshit. Which is also kind of funny because the term Big Brother is a term from the book 1984 by George Orwell that warned of an authoritarian surveillance state that controlled and watched everything everyone did. He made this book to warn future generations of what happens when censorship and suppression of thought can lead to. This book is so influential that I just used a term from it to describe another fictional thing having an impact on reality. When you see pictures of protests in the last year or so around the world, you will notice the Skull and Bones flag with a straw hat being
That's
it's a symbol
still amazing,
from the
honestly.
anime, a manga, One Piece. I know. Holy shit, One Peak mentioned. One Peak, guys. The One Peak is real. Dude,
I've yet to catch up to One Piece.
Just lost their damn mind just now. I could just tell. Kelp, go crazy.
You look at it! Look at it! Look at it! Look at it!
I stopped watching One Piece around the Dressrosa arc, or like shortly after. I want to get back into it at some point.
Hell yeah. From bringing down the government of Nepal, which could work, by the way,
We love it.
Indonesia, to Morocco, and to the US, Gen Z protesters are waving around this flag to symbolize freedom, unity of the outcasts, and to challenge unjust authority. A symbol from an anime is being used as a battling cry for justice, for real world justice. That's beautiful. The human spirit is so gorgeous, dude. Whenever this discussion pops up online over whether we should censor obscene things,
What does it say about the whole fiction versus reality debate, in all its facets, I would assume.
separate fiction from reality if that's possible, yada yada yada. One of the most used arguments for how fiction does affect reality is, well, if fiction doesn't affect reality, then why do we want representation in popular media? Why would representation matter then? Why do we need to see gay hockey boys? And honestly, great point. We call for diversity in movies, books, games, and TV shows to reflect the real world shown within these stories because representation does matter.
It does,
people
yeah.
who never see themselves in the heroes on screen and the intelligent scientists in their pages, or queer people happy and alive in their games, leads to feelings of isolation, lower self-esteem, and discouragement. A young black girl could see a badass black woman kick ass as like, I don't know, like a scientist in a Marvel movie, and then inspire that little girl to pursue the sciences, changing her life forever. Girl, I read Percy Jackson, changed my life. Genuinely changed my life.
Valid.
I would not be the person I am today without that book, without that piece of fiction. I would not be who I am today. Also, quick trigger warning for body image discussion real fast. Skip to this timestamp here or mute the video.
You've been warned. I don't mind it.
We are that right now. I'm not going to go too into it, but
you have half a minute if you don't want to hear it.
Yourself. There was and still is an epidemic of eating disorders that were perpetuated by constantly shoving the ideal body type into every Disney Channel and Nickelodeon TV show. This message of what you should look like hit young girls during the most formative years of their life, and many
still
carry
does to this day.
To this day, me included. So as you could see with all of those different wide-ranging examples, fiction is a pretty big deal. A piece on psych.co compared our relationship with fiction as importing and exporting goods into and out of our consciousness and life, while also engaging in some smuggling. We import our own ideas and beliefs into fiction based on our reality, and fiction can give us ideas and inspiration for how we live our life, while sometimes, subconsciously, fiction can smuggle in information. They gave an example of movies that take different perspectives may subtly change how we see the world, or reinforce our already prejudiced or tolerant beliefs. This smuggling affair is something that can be very dangerous and something that Psych warns us of. So all of what I just rattled off should prove to you beyond a doubt that things that originate in the fictional world can influence us in the real world. What we wear, how fast we drive, the laws we pass, and even a kind of revolution. It's a beautiful but also dangerous weapon to wield. And while everything I told you just now is true, I may have also lied. Just a little bit.
Act 2. Reality bleeds back.
I cannot forget Carco.
People seem to forget that, like, yes, fictional content can affect reality, but also, where does that fiction come from? Where do these ideas to create this fictional content even come from? They come from reality. They come from real people thinking of this and then making it.
Where black stars hang in the heavens.
So it's not just that fiction like just
lengthen in the afternoon when the twin
sparks these thoughts out of thin air.
And my mind will bear forever the memory of the pallid mask. I pray God will curse the writer, as the writer has cursed the world with this beautiful, stupendous creation. Terrible in its simplicity, irresistible in its truth.
Quotes.
A world which now trembles before the king in yellow. Okay, so as I said at the beginning of this video, this conversation we are having is not a new one. It resurfaces online pretty frequently, rehashing and regurgitating the same talking points over and over again in perpetuity. It's always, if you play this game,
there it is.
Over and over again in perpetuity.
If fiction doesn't affect reality, why do kids think cartoons are real? Because they're kids. Because they are children, and their brains have not developed to distinguish Duh!
It's always, if you play this game with
Saw this
this
earlier.
taboo element in it, you
I always get a little upset when I see takes that say something like, I'm against censorship, but people who write, draw fiction don't deserve to be part of fandoms. Yeah.
are a freak. If you write X,
Your Asian BL is unethical, fetishized, and putrid, while my Western MLM media is ethical, refined, and shows a God-honoring way of media consumption.
YZ type of fan fiction, then you should be
We read this
put
earlier.
in jail.
Game Dev says that itch adult content. Oh yeah, that was about the content ban on itch, targeting lesbian games even if they're safe for work.
As some of the examples on screen show you. If you ship these two fictional characters together, then hell has its place for you, darling. One situation that tends to have the most controversial depictions is the topic of SA. I'm saying SA because YouTube censorship is rough, but I think you know what I'm talking about. I'll be going into this one situation specifically, but I imagine the arguments I explore here could apply to most pieces of taboo fiction. Keyword on most, though, and not all. Book Talk, a community on TikTok devoted to talking about, recommending, and deconstructing books of various genres, is a community widely regarded as being mostly made up of women who romanticize horrific tropes such as SA or stalking in the books that they like. I talk more about this specifically here if you want more of a deeper exploration on the community itself. Of course, Book Talk is very diverse and all kinds of books are discussed, but it has garnered a rather unfavorable image as a gooner-run, morally unwell community. Because, as people argue, fiction affects reality. So by reading and enjoying dark romance, that means you condone and help normalize SA in real life, and you are a sick, disgusting person. But why would people be drawn to reading, writing, and or enjoying fictional works about being SA'd if they didn't want that in real life?
For example, because it's fiction, because no real people are being affected, could be as a way to regain, what do you call it? Control in a sense, you know, explore this type of content without real life consequences, you know, explore this content in a safe and limited space. Several reasons.
Fast and Furious may have caused people to lose their lives through
Mania,
speeding.
how you doing? We are not doing Ace Attorney after all today because this I feel like is more important for me to talk about. Fiction versus reality. The whole
Would
shebang.
these types of materials be the real life King in Yellow? Well, this is the...
Some people do love SA content, yeah. Personally, when I read fics about SA, one of my favorites, but only with a happy end or with a hopeful ending. I don't like, you know, just the thing and then everything sucks. But some people do, and that's perfectly valid.
crux of the matter, isn't it? How can fiction affect reality, but also like not at all? This particular subject of women enjoying really fucked up depictions of romance is, again, not a new one. People have been kicking this dead horse, lighting it on fire, shooting it out of a cannon, and then reviving it just to shoot it again for decades. The widely considered first bodice ripper, which I think you could use context clues for what that means, was called The Flame and the Flower and was released in 1972 to insane success, though many were quick to comment on how disgusting and deplorable it was. With the book opening up with the hero S.A.ing the main heroine, and then after a few murders, they somehow end up married and in love. Oh, that's not...
That's something.
Moments of telling the guy to f off, but hey, what were y'all doing in 1972? What the fuck? Many to this day criticize it as well, gross, and romanticizing a horrific trauma that many women experience in real life, further proving to men that when women say no, they really just mean yeah. While others make the point that women were never written to be impure or with sexual thoughts or be depicted as sexual beings at all in fiction during this time. So using this horrific force skirted past the conservatism, allowing for the explicit scene to exist, while also showing it as like an erotic fantasy in a society that frowned on women who consented to premarital sex.
Also in that aspect, yeah, notice how it's usually women who are scrutinized much more heavily. You know, the whole idea of women only want the bad boys and whatnot. Women don't like nice guys. Yada yada yada. And then oftentimes just using the argument of like the fiction they consume, which is like, no. A lot of my male fictional a lot of my favorite characters are not mentally stable and are not are morally gray at best. I don't want that in real life though. I don't like that in real life. In fact, in real life, I don't even like men. I don't even like real men, let alone those that kill people and do other bad shit. Like, you know, tear off the bee armor with a shotgun. Did you killed the bee successfully with grenades?
Today, dark romance is like the newest bodice ripper. I believe there are levels of nuance that differentiate the two terms, with bodice ripper being more historical fiction and dark romance being more fantasy, but you know what I mean.
I don't know much about that, yeah, maybe.
Murderous mafia bosses or scary kings or princes being scarily possessive over their love, stalking, and sometimes
that is not my thing
the female
at all.
Character. Female readers swoon and blush like how they did in the 70s. And after a lot of research and reading a good amount of opinions from the actual women themselves that enjoy these books, many, if not all, state how they don't actually want what they read about to happen to them in real life. Many stating that it's just fantasy and has no tangible real life bearing. Others stating that it provides a safe, controlled environment to safely and consensually experience horrors that can very well happen to them in real life. Kind of like how you simulate being chased around by a murderer at like Not Scary Farm or something. You consensually buy that ticket to enter Not Scary Farm so you can get the crap scared out of you, but know that you are safe and that that person running with a knife is not actually going to kill you. It's very much haunted house type vibes. Others state that by reading the trigger warnings before a particularly disturbing book, they are actively taking the oppression that women face and eroticizing it, gaining back power in the simulated
could also be it, yes.
Which I think brings us to the core of this video. Everything exists within context of all that came before. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? Coconut tree meme reference in 2026.
Kinnikuman, at least early on, was gross, disgusting, and incel, but now he's a good guy who respects the autonomy of women, and do not, don't be early Kinnikuman, truly. We're talking about these shitty centaur novels, among others, yes. Almost like real life and all its facets blends into fiction, into the fiction real people create. Yeah, like it's, you know, it's not a one-way street.
It's so over. Also, screw Camaleras, bruh. L. But that coconut tree shit, I still find it funny. During my research, I came across a writing blog with an entry titled, "Does Fiction Affect Reality?" Duh. They argued that fiction can affect our perception of reality, which is just as powerful as affecting reality itself. It makes us believe in lies or reinforce already held beliefs, which I definitely agree to an extent. But they made a claim that I think really reinforces my own point that I'm finding throughout this video. They said, quote, "If you've been told your whole life by parents, friends, television, books, etc. that stalking is romantic, for example, you won't immediately realize that's not true the first time you experience stalking."
Yes, and therein lies the key element. If you don't know better, if your environment has been conveying the same message that you are consuming in fiction and has not done a good job at countering that belief, or, you know, whether in advance or as it happened, whatever, then yeah, of course, it's gonna stick with you more. If you've never learned that murder is bad, then yeah, you're not gonna look at a thriller or whatever other violent show or medium and see people getting killed and go, "Oh yeah, that's bad." Like, of course, you're gonna. That's not gonna repulse you. You're not gonna think, "Oh, that's wrong," suddenly, if you've never been taught that it's wrong.
I think they make a lot of definitive statements that deserve a lot more nuance.
And why it's
like,
wrong.
Man, I think it depends. This being one of the biggest, and represents a lot of people's opinions about this topic online. And that's why I'm referencing it. Thank you. I fear this article and many other people online are placing a lot of weight on fiction itself and not paying enough attention to the world in which the fiction lives in. The above statement even admits that parents and friends play a huge role in reinforcing or building someone's belief system that could easily be reinforced or radicalized through contact with fictional media that repeats those beliefs. But putting everything on fiction's power and not addressing cultural reality is ignorant, in my opinion. Because,
it very much is.
Fiction has changed a lot of lives and has been a force for good and for evil. Remember when I said I lied just a little bit before about all those times fiction affected reality? I didn't lie. I lied via
Oh yeah, for sure. It goes like it's
some.
like the whole like how are you like how are you supposed to know it's wrong if you never learned about it? It's not just applying to fiction, just in general.
Of those examples. Let's return to them real fast. The New York Times and National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, babe, get a shorter name, both noted that it is very difficult to prove causality when it comes to whether the Fast and Furious movies were the sole reason for people's lives being lost to speeding or racing. Because, hey, American culture already reveres the automobile. The US is built around cars for transportation. Oh, you want a walkable city? Go f yourself, you know? I miss it.
Still, as a European, that's wild.
Hell out of cars, which is odd, honestly. But straight men been giving pronouns to their F-150s for a while.
That is true,
saying,
yeah.
She's a beaut, right?
Honestly, yeah. Get out of here with your pronouns, with your neo pronouns and whatnot. Now look at my car. I love her. That's my daughter.
Sir. Why do you want to?
What if Fast and Furious was made because of that culture? Exactly. Who's to say that Fast and Furious isn't, you know, like, did Fast and Furious inspire this culture? Did the culture inspire Fast and Furious?
We don't typically view the car as the weapon that it is, since most people use them. Vin Diesel driving fast and serving for sure made some people think that they could live that fantasy, but I doubt the films would have even been made, or at least wouldn't.
Also, yes. Definitely. It could be that, like, after, I mean, and I think that, like, they also said that, like, you know, after the movies came out, in order to, like, research this phenomenon, for the first, like, days or a week or so, after the movies came out, people paid more attention to it, you know? The reports and stuff might be that people were more aware of this particular issue, of this potential, so they paid more attention to it. Yeah.
Be nearly as popular if we lived
car guys
in a
are just
country
Uma Musume
with
guys deep in the
walkable
closet.
cities, or if American
I love
society as a whole didn't promote big trucks and muscle cars as a way to flaunt your wealth and your masculinity. The movies may have added more fuel, pun intended, onto an already car-obsessed, toxically masculine society. So it's hard to say that Fast and Furious was the direct cause. The UK government legalized homosexuality partly due to the brilliance of Victim, and also due to an overall cultural shift in the work of advocacy groups. As
like one movie alone isn't gonna
that I carefully omitted. The
change an entire
and
law.
Reception aided to an extent, but real people's family members having their lives ruined by those discriminatory laws were also a huge factor for change. The Birth of a Nation didn't suddenly make everyone violently racist just by glorifying the Triple K in a single movie. I don't know if you knew this, but we are already a violently racist people.
Yeah, we've always been racist, bitch.
In America, hey, get into it. Well, with us, you know, enslaving Black people for hundreds of years, among many other issues. Peter Thiel and Alex Carr were always going to be evil. If Tolkien never wrote the original Palantir, then all that would have really changed is that this monstrosity would not be named that. Maybe it would be named Younger Brother, because they were like, we want to be cool. Shut up, dude. Something like Palantir was inevitable. One Piece did not cause protests or uprisings in Nepal or other countries. Real-world corruption and resistance communities being formed allowed for these events to take place. But One Piece definitely helped inspire and bring like-minded people together, which is beautiful.
This is the world itself!
Shoot down that flag.
But I can't sit here and say that One Piece caused the government of Nepal to be toppled and replaced, which, like,
it sounds fun, it sounds great, but not the case.
But that's not one of them, at least in the real world. Kelp is like, I beg to differ. Representation in media does matter, but unfortunately, representation alone in popular media will not change systemic forms of oppression, rewire the general public's existing prejudices that have been reinforced by not only popular media, but by their friends, their teachers, their parents, and authority figures for decades, for maybe their entire lives. And I can say that last part with absolute confidence because Disney and other corpos went on a huge...
If that was true, why do gay people exist? Most of the fiction I watched growing up had very little queer representation, and yet here I am.
DEI woke kick and had a lot of diversity in their movies and video games, and look where we are today. Look where we are today. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. What? Hated you so much. Anyways, so yeah, Disney and other big, video game companies had a lot of woke, and we are living in an anti-woke, anti-DEI hellscape from literally like the Magnus archives, where the US president can post a racist video of a previous US president, and he isn't like immediately kicked out. Immediately. What are we doing, guys? What are we doing? Anyways, sorry. Protest, please. Join your local communities. If fiction affected reality on a 1-to-1 ratio, then...
Dream Daddy. Fun game.
Dream Daddy would have saved us all. Markiplier's playthrough of Dream Daddy would have brought us to that picture of society. Representation and normalizing the existence of marginalized people on the big screen can and is a huge help, but it will not be the end-all solution. So yes, representation matters a lot. We should be striving for it, while also striving to end real-world bigotry. So some weird-ass fiction that seems to romanticize SA does not necessarily mean it's
so pandery the bamboo first are getting scared. That's a good one.
Women reading and enjoying dark romance may feel that this is the only place to safely explore scary stuff that they do not want in real life. That is also often inflicted upon them without their say, against their will. And for this hypothetical woman that loves dark romance, I do think it's a little bit crazy to pin the entirety of her gender's human rights on what she reads for fun in her private time.
And by the way, I don't know if they're gonna get into this, but people also fail to neglect, like, just the way that if any of this held bearing, right? If the whole fiction affects reality debate, like fiction affects reality on a one-to-one scale, if that was true, sexual fantasies have always been a thing. But the reason people enjoy sexual fantasies, but not the real-life equivalent, is because they're fantasies. And this has been shown time and time again, where some people have really fucked up taboo fantasies that sometimes they even act out with their partner in a safe environment, but they would not want the actual thing done to them. Or they would not want to do the actual thing to others. And these fantasies do sometimes even involve real people. And despite that, they're not gonna suddenly become rapists or wanna be assaulted.
While this act also challenges existing forms of oppression in an admittedly sort of strange way, these dark romance books can also subtly reinforce other things that readers may not even be conscious of. Many male love interests in this genre are usually white men, which says that men can be redeemable or even desirable as long as they are white and committing those crimes. Smuggling in racism in its reader's subconscious, which reinforces an already racist society. Other negative things that can be perpetuated is just reinforcing toxic gender roles of calm, domestic, submissive women and brutish men, which in a time when the whole trad wife bullshit is blowing up, again, we're living in fascism right now, LOL, can have unfavorable consequences in our subconsciousness if we are not aware. But also a book with trad wifey vibes and low-key kind of racist will not change all of society for the worst.
Yep.
But it will reinforce what already exists. Okay, so
Exactly. There's a chance that people who are like, this shit rules, and I want to be a trad wife, I want a trad wife, and fucking, black people are inherently more violent or whatever, if they already believe that, or if they already, have a tendency towards believing that, then yeah, reading that kind of stuff is probably, might actually enforce it. Duh.
what I'm trying to say is that there are levels to it, okay? It's complicated. It's not black and white. I keep saying that on this channel because it's true. Many things are gray. Dark romance can perpetuate harmful concepts while also giving women a place to be a little crazy. I can't give you a straight answer because it depends. So should we ban all dark romance to prevent some potentially harmful concepts from infiltrating the minds of our youths? Should we call all of the women who read such crap disgusting perverts who are sending back feminism? No. But we can take this time and opportunity to analyze. Maybe it's just a woman getting her freak on. It's just that simple. It is, I would say, pretty difficult for a single piece of fiction to completely alter the reality of society.
Pretty
Dark
fucking
romance
difficult.
Novels can't really normalize SA when at large SA is a crime.
Is already
and is viewed as a criminal act, just as.
And even then, the normalization was already there, I would argue. Like, SA is not like a new concept. It's not a new thing. And fiction didn't just suddenly, plant the idea into people's minds that, oh, this is fine or this is normal.
Playing violent video games don't make you a killer. I mean, this argument is always brought up in this discussion, but it's another example of how fiction doesn't affect reality on a one-to-one scale. Murder is in every aspect of our reality, and it is still illegal and considered one of the worst crimes to commit. Pretty sure Resident Evil isn't normalizing murder, but it is normalizing those big juicy arms on Leon. Dear
Everyone
God.
say thank you to women at Capcom.
So instead of trying to ban any and everything that has a topic as taboo as SA, for example,
I don't know what the fuck a trad wife is, because the idea of a subservient woman who doesn't challenge me and always goes along with what I say is deeply unappealing, which is perfectly valid. Yes, that is basically what a trad wife is. The very traditional submissive stay-at-home woman that,